Straight
Filters for what to eliminate from your calendar. Now, we all know that time is the most valuable resource that we all have, and everybody here is familiar with the concept of a calendar, even though some of you, and yeah, I'm looking at you, may not actually be using one. The one thing that I'm not sure if everybody's using a calendar, but everybody knows what a calendar is. Everyone understands time, and hopefully some of you are getting a better grasp and having a better understanding of the value of time. And if you're a professional at what you do, you absolutely should be using a calendar because it keeps your time in order. And as a professional, every minute is an opportunity for you to be doing something to advance your business, which possibly puts you in a better position business-wise, meaning making more money, serving more people, helping the people you need to be helping. And at the same time, it eliminates the chances of waste. And people tend to be very frivolous with their time, but very stingy when it comes to your material possessions. But your time is worth a whole lot more. You can do a whole lot to get whatever material possessions you want when you're using your time efficiently. You use your time inefficiently, you will not have the space to get any material possession. So a lot of people tend to have this equation backwards. So I have constantly told you that one of the ways to advance yourself in life is not through the process of addition, i.e. finding more things to do and more ways to do them, but actually through the process of elimination, taking things away and off of your plate and off of your calendar. So today, let's advance the process of eliminating things from your calendar. Point number one. Topic, once again, is what to eliminate from your calendar. Number one, just because you have a good idea does not make it a priority. A good idea is not a priority. One thing that is common, especially amongst entrepreneurs, is that we tend to have a lot of ideas. We tend to wake up in the middle of the night with ideas. We hop out of the shower with ideas. Our ideas have ideas. All right, we tend to have a ton of ideas, and we have more ideas than we have time, than we have energy, than we have capacity to implement them, or any other resource necessary to make the idea come to life. And what you need to understand here is just because you have an idea does not mean that that idea even needs to be implemented, let alone doesn't need to jump on your calendar today when your day is already scheduled out with priorities. What you can do in a situation like this is you can take any idea that you have that cannot be addressed today, and maybe depending on what the idea is, maybe it will never be addressed. How many of you entrepreneurs have ever had an idea that sounded great when you first thought about it, but then when you got into actually working on it, you realize, this idea is actually not that good, and you ended up trashing the idea? All right. If you're an entrepreneur with any level of experience, you probably have plenty of experience having done this. You started out with an idea and it sounded like a great thing, and then you started working on it, and as you moved more into the idea, you realize, this idea is not that great, and you ended up throwing it in the trash. That's the reason why you don't throw an idea right on your plate immediately, especially if your day is already scheduled. If your day is already scheduled, you should be focused so much on doing what is currently on the schedule that you ain't got time to be focusing on a new idea right now in the moment. You say, that sounds good, let me write it down. I'll deal with that later when I get around to this bucket of ideas that could possibly be thrown out there. But right now I have priorities that I need to get to. And entrepreneurs, I'm looking at you because we all have this challenge. Just because you have an idea does not mean you go to work on it right now. It definitely does not jump on your calendar today when your day is already scheduled. Something may be best as a good idea that never gets done, or a good idea that you hand off to somebody else. Let somebody else do that idea. It sounds good, but you probably aren't the one who needs to be doing it. If you have other things that will be better and more effectively move things forward for you than the new good idea that you just came up with 15 minutes ago, I'm assuming that you do because you have a plan and a strategy for the other things. I suggest you focus on those other things. Understand, folks, high performance does not drown in options. You want to be a high performer, you can't give yourself too many options. What you need to do is actually give yourself fewer options so that you have fewer distractions and fewer things that could turn your head away from the thing that you're supposed to be focused on right now in the moment. Remember what I told you, what we talked about over and over again here. Focus is a force multiplier. What that means is the longer and stronger you can focus on anything, the better your performance will be. The biggest challenge that a lot of people have in general is that a lot of people can't stay focused. Focus is a force multiplier. Distraction is a force divider. When you stay focused on something, you get better and better and stronger, at least up to your personal capacity of whatever the thing is that you're doing. When you completely focus on it, you put all of your resources on that thing, you can do the best that you can possibly do when you are not distracted by anything. However, on the flip side, distraction, which is the opposite of focus, is a force divider. It takes that same force and it makes it weaker and weaker and weaker the more you are dividing your forces up amongst many different things. Remember Newton's second law of motion. Force equals mass times acceleration. So if you are doing something important and you're doing it quickly, your force goes up. When you're doing things that are less important, or you're doing them more slowly, or a combination of both, God forbid, because you are distracted, then your force goes down. That means you have less impact and your overall importance is lessened because you're doing less important things. This is the way it happens. Or you're doing important things and you're doing them at a lesser level simply because you're distracted. So again, this is the reason why you come up with a good idea. That's cool that you had the good idea. Congratulations on the idea, but we are not stopping what the plans were for today to focus on this random thing that you just came up with 5 minutes ago. We're not doing that. All right, that's not happening. What we're going to focus on is the thing that we said that we're going to do, and we're going to get that done, and we'll come back around to this if we ever decide to come back around to this when it's time to come back around to it. That's the way it actually works. So every task that you think you might want to take on needs to be filtered through what your top priorities are. Shouldn't be no more than 3 of them. And if they don't fit, they had to be dropped or they had to be put into the parking lot, so to speak, for later consideration. Point number 2. Today's topic, once again, is what to eliminate from your calendar. Number 2, recurring does not equal required. Just because you've been doing something over and over and over again does not mean you need to keep doing it continually moving forward. Sometimes the recurring thing is the very thing you need to be looking at and asking yourself, do I need to keep doing this? See, there are some things that we do over and over again, especially those of you who are used to structure, that we really don't need to be doing because the thing that we're doing is not really making any difference. So if you're continually having meetings, doing check-ins, or sticking to legacy tasks just because you have always done them, that is not a good enough reason to keep doing the thing that you're doing. Now, everything that you do needs to be looked at, and every sacred cow that you have is on the chopping block to possibly have its head cut off and slaughtered into steaks and hamburgers. Everything you do needs to be looked at, and everything's on the chopping block. And anything that you've always done, again, does not necessarily mean that you must continue to do it, especially if it's not producing the returns that you need based on your current goals, or maybe it's not producing the returns that it used to and it's starting to slow down. Maybe you can shape it up and change the situation so it can start producing the way it was supposed to, or the way that it used to. And or if it's not, then you might need to get rid of it. It might be time to drop it. It might just be time to move on to something else. It may still be good, but there may be a higher level priority that you could be focused on. Instead of doing that thing, you can now do this new thing. And that thing has to get pushed to the back. And it's just the way that it works. As an athlete, for example, I stopped playing basketball. I was still physically in good enough shape that I could have kept playing. I could have kept pursuing and trying to get the next contract and kept playing for a few more years from the time that I stopped playing. But the reason that I stopped playing is because I saw an opportunity in business that was available to me that I saw more potential in with business than I saw potential in the future in basketball. So I said, how about I just push basketball to the back? I push it all the way to the back. I stopped playing basketball cold turkey, and I instead start focusing on business because I saw a better opportunity in business. Not because the opportunity in basketball was necessarily bad, and not because the basketball world said no to me, but because I saw a better opportunity doing something else. And I like to do things in absolutes. I don't like to ease into things. If I can, I like to go straight into stuff and go right into it and cold turkey drop the thing that I decided to stop doing. I like to do things that quickly when it's possible. And that's exactly what I did in changing careers. Anything that you've always done, just because you've always done it does not mean you had to keep doing it. Especially if you're not measuring the current return on investment from the thing that you're doing compared to your current goals. Now, your goals may change over time. All right, there was a time where my goal was I'm just going to put as many basketball videos on the internet as possible. That was my goal at a time. But years later, that wasn't my goal anymore. My goal was, okay, what am I going to do after basketball? Because I can see I'm closer to the end than I am to the beginning. And since the goals had changed, my behavior needed to change. And oftentimes we will change our goals without changing our behavior. And we got to make sure that our behavior is cross-referenced against any updates and goals. Anytime you change your goals, you need to cross-reference your current behaviors against the new goals that have been installed to make sure that your current behaviors or whatever behaviors you brought with you into today still match the goals that you are currently setting. So make sure that you're not off. You don't want to be off. Every activity you're doing must be assessed, and you must ask, is this activity leading to the goals that I have now? And if it is not, then it has to be dropped. This is just how it goes. Point number 3. Today's topic, once again, is what to eliminate from your calendar. Number 3, delegate what can be delegated. You've heard me talk about the concept of delegation a lot. If you have not heard me talk about delegation, let me refer you to a few episodes. Episode 2657, what to delegate and how. Episode 1100, Delegation 101 for entrepreneurs. Episode 664, how to delegate work in your business. When you are the CEO of your calendar and your time, and by the way, you are the CEO of yourself. Every one of you is a CEO, even if you do not run or own a business. When you're the CEO, that means all of you, anything that does not require your physical presence or your brain or your voice, meaning it can happen without physically you doing it, you need to plan to, or if you can right now, immediately delegate it, meaning you hand the task off to somebody else. Automate it, which means you set up a system that is not a person that gets that task done without you personally having to do it, or eliminate it. That means, okay, we're just not going to do this anymore because it's not necessary to be done. And for many entrepreneurs, in my experience, a lot of entrepreneurs have a lot of things going on in their business that really should be eliminated, not delegated, and not automated. And in order, it actually goes in the opposite direction of what I said. So I said delegate, automate, eliminate. When it comes to the things, how many things most entrepreneurs are doing and what should happen to them, more things should be eliminated than anything. A lot of entrepreneurs are doing a whole lot of things you just don't need to be doing. Just eliminate that completely. Then next in line are things that should be automated, meaning you're doing it manually somehow, but there's an automated way to get this done to where you just set it up and it will happen on its own without you having to physically do anything. That's the second way. Second most common opportunity. And then the third most common opportunity is the delegation, meaning this needs to be done by a person. It just doesn't need to be done by you, the person. Hand it off to somebody else. So eliminate is the most things. Automate is the second most things. And delegate is the third most things. And when you're looking at your calendar, you need to figure out what can be passed off or cut off. And all of you as CEOs of your own lives, this is the things you need to do. And as I told you at the beginning of this episode, number one thing that helps people advance in life is not adding on more things to do. It is eliminating and getting rid of things you've been doing. This is the process of delegation that allows you to move up to higher and higher levels of working on your business rather than working in your business. The more things manually that you personally have to do for your business to run, you are working in your business and the business owns you. You basically are the owner of a job, is what we call it. But if you want to get to working on your business, you must automate as many things as possible. You need to delegate whatever needs to be delegated. And then you need to eliminate a bunch of useless things that have nothing to do with the bottom line of the goals you're looking to reach. And this is the reason why you got to know what your bottom line is. What are we actually trying to achieve here? And how does doing this lead to that? And just because you're doing something that leads to an outcome does not mean it's leading to the outcomes that matter. Some entrepreneurs, I find this often, are doing things that lead to outcomes such as getting likes on social media or followers on some platform, but are any of those likers or followers on that platform actually buying what you're selling? I mean, being that you're an entrepreneur, you are in the business of selling things, right? You make sales. Okay, are these people becoming customers or clients? If the answer is no, then just because you're getting these vanity metrics on this social media app, what does it matter? Are these your customer? Are your customers on this app? Are your clients on this app? Are your ideal prospects on this platform that you seem to be focusing on making sure that everything is optimized for? But what does it matter? You're getting nothing from these people, despite the fact that there are so many of them. I was on social media today on X, and there were these people who were commenting. It was a conversation about some athletes on the cover of video games. And they were saying, well, this athlete has this many followers and they're really popular on Instagram, et cetera, et cetera. And my response to them was, just because somebody's popular on Instagram does not mean that putting that same person on the cover of a video game is going to sell the video game. It's probably not. Most people who are on social media liking pictures and commenting on posts ain't buying shit. They are freeloaders, is what I call these people, freeloaders. They load up on all the free shit you give out. They're not spending any money, but it makes you feel good because you have these vanity metrics and the comments and the likes and all these things that make you feel like you're somebody on the app. It has nothing to do with you making money in your business. They're not the same thing. And a lot of people who are not entrepreneurs and don't know much about business tend to think that because you see vanity metrics that automatically equals money. That is not true. And any of you who's an entrepreneur listening to this, you should already know that. This should not be news to you. The entrepreneurs who I work with, they understand this very well. They understand that they don't need to be going viral on TikTok in order to do their business because they understand that their Top clients are not looking around on TikTok to solve their business problems. They're looking in other places to solve their business problems. And the entrepreneur who I'm working with knows I need to be in those places where my ideal prospects are looking, not on social media just because social media exists. And a lot of people are getting this wrong consistently. So this process of delegation, again, allows you to move higher and higher up the food chain in your business, to work on it rather than work in it. And all of your life is a business, ladies and gentlemen. Why am I saying that? I'm saying that to help you understand that this applies not just in your work stuff, but in your life stuff. What are some things you're doing in your life on a consistent basis that you really could benefit from eliminating? You're doing them just because you've always done them, but do you really need to do them? Do you really need to do that? If you just ask yourself, do I really need to be doing this? Even though I've always been doing it, even though it's always on my calendar, do I really need this? If I stop doing it, what's going to go wrong? What would I miss if I stopped doing this? You should ask yourself that question about everything in your life. If I eliminated this, what would go wrong? And if you ask yourself that about every recurring activity in your life, I guarantee you're going to find at least 20% of the things that you're doing. You could probably just cut them out, stop doing them, and it wouldn't matter. So ask yourself that question and see how it goes. Tell me what happens. All this said, let's recap today's class, which is what to eliminate from your calendar. Number one, good ideas that are not priorities. Just because it's a good idea does not mean you need to start doing it or ever do it. Number two, recurring does not mean required. Just because you've always done it does not mean you need to keep doing it. And number three, delegate, automate, or eliminate what can be delegated, automated, or eliminated. You need to look at every aspect of your business and ask yourself, what things could possibly be passed off besides me doing them all myself continuously for the foreseeable future? Ask yourself these questions, answer them, and then do something about it. With that said, I know you want some help in doing this. You want someone who can hold you accountable, someone who can give you the real talk, someone who can help you structure, organize, and systematize what you're doing. That's the reason why we have Work on Your Game University. This is for high-level performers, people who are in the top 2%, people who want to be in the top 2%. You want to take your skills, you want to take your discipline, your effort, and your desire to make it happen. You want to turn that into dominance. You want to turn it into a system, a process that works consistently to scale up what you're doing. Go to workonyourgameuniversity.com. Let's get the mindset, the strategy, the systems, and the execution in place to produce the results with my direct help. That's workonyourgameuniversity.com. Work on your game. Dre all